El Cholo was up to his old tricks again at the weekend with a really aggressive but quite fluent Atleti side that absolutely demolished second half performance, demolishing Real Madrid, coming from 2-1 down to running out 5-2 winners. Now, it was it looked like maybe a 4-4-2 on paper with his son, Giuliano Simeone, normally like an attacking sort of like right winger, really aggressive, wide. Out of possession, ended up being pretty much a right fullback. So we've got that kind of pattern to play with. We've got the two strikers, how they link, how they played. Let's get into it. Today's video is going to be a little bit different, a little bit quicker over the next few weeks. FM26 is coming. I'm conscious of not kind of diving really deep into videos that would maybe be best suited to FM26. So this is just purely based on the 5-2 win over Real Madrid at the weekend. Patreon's tactic down in the description for you. Go check it out. If you want to support the channel, get the file as direct download. Support me through FM26 where it's going to go absolutely nuts on the channel. I appreciate the support. Go check it out. First thing we're going to do is just actually look at the average positions of the team, and that'll kind of give us a good indication of generally, you know, where they were with and without the ball. So goalkeeper, Jan Oblak, and then they had kind of like a back three of Robin Lenormand was kind of at times like the centre back and then the right-sided centre back, depending on how they kind of built. At times, as you could see, Marcus Llorente was very much sort of like a right full-back, maybe wide right centre-back. And in possession, what they were doing, Lenormand would drop into a right-back area, and then that would give Giuliano in front of him the opportunity to get a little bit further forward. So it's a little bit off-centre, not ideal for FM24, but we're going to give it a go. And actually, in the two games that we've played this season, we've played really well. So the tactic actually looks really nice. Longley, as you can see, very much a wide centre-back with David Hanko being kind of the left full-back, left wing-back, maybe a little bit more withdrawn, a little bit more supportive compared to Giuliano, who was hitting that, it's got like that byline, that attacking third on a more regular basis. So there's kind of like your back five. Then they had a middle three of obviously Koke, very much getting into his latter years, not expected to get around the pitch. That job falls on Pablo Barrios, and as you can see, he's busy in a lot of wide areas, which is interesting. Sometimes it can be depending on what flank he's played on. You know, if the wingers have swapped, they'll sometimes have heat maps that look a little bit like this, but with him being a central midfielder, it's down to just generally going, helping out in wider areas. And then Nico Gonzalez, very much an attacking player, maybe a winger and number 10, but was asked to kind of help out in, you know, these deeper, sort of like wider central midfielders roles at times. So we've got that in, as you can see, a lot of touches in and around the penalty area. So we're going to discuss that because I think there's two roles I think you can kind of go with him if you wanted. And then the front two, Soloth, as you could see, a lot of, and he scored a couple. He had a good chance early on in the first half. Lovely little bit of play, high press as well from Atleti. I've got a little clip here just to show you a couple of still shots of the high press, which led to the Soloth chance. And then he scored. Did he bag? He definitely bagged because he headed one in, I think, just before half-time. A lovely cross from the left and guided the header in. And then Julian Alvarez, absolutely everywhere, but definitely favouring this left-hand side. And I do think that has a little bit to do with the position of the wing-backs. As you can see, Hanko not being generally as high as Giuliano. So at times it maybe even went into maybe like a 4-3-3 with Giuliano flanking the right, Alvarez coming off that left, and then Soloth kind of down the middle. So there's lots of things to kind of look at, and we're going to cover it right now in FM24. So this is what I've put together. Just so you know, I had to change, like Simeone couldn't do right wing back at all. So I just went into the editor and just gave him a little bit of 12 out of 20 in terms of being able to play right wing back, just so we get a nice little balance with it. Because yeah, we really were hoping with the kind of little, not leaks, but the screenshots that Sports Interactive have shown us with the IP, meaning in possession tactic, and is it going to mean that now for FM26 we get in possession and out of possession and maybe even transition, kind of more transition instructions? That would be awesome, because at the moment, you know, a lot of teams, their attacking shape is completely different to the defensive shape. So this is the defensive shape right here. This is how FM sets it up, where your defensive shape is guided by the player positions, and then your attacking shape is guided by the roles that you give them. However, between the two, there's a few little kind of tweaks and things that you need to work around. I'm really hoping for FM26 that completely changes, because that'll be awesome for me with a football channel that kind of, has the niche of comparing real life tactics to football manager tactics. So all we can do is live and hope and see over the next few weeks that we get some tactic stuff dropping from SI. Right, anyway, that's enough of my hopes and dreams. Let's go into the tactics. So Oblak, sweeper keeper on defend. If we look at his pass map from the game, as you can see, sweeper keeper, his heat map was very much in and around the area, not going too long, he's only gone long with one kick, so playing out from the back, just to keep it nice and basic. Right-sided, in Llorente, remember, he said he almost, if we look at his pass map, very much in a right-back area. So what I've decided to do, because they built up they built up with kind of Llorente moving into a right-back position, but then out of the ball very much came across to be a wide centre-back. That makes it very tricky in FM, but what we are going to do is put him as a wide centre-back on support, and that gives us the automatic option of stay wider. I think that will give us a nice little balance because we know in front, as you can see, Simeone's on wing-back on attack. He's going to do that, so then that allow Llorente to come in there and, and help out a little bit as that kind of like more attacking right-back. Lenormand, we've just gone central defender on cover because it's the middle of the three, with Longley, who was very much supporting Hanko on this side. He had a nice sort of like heat map in around that left back area, but we've gone wide centre back on defend just so he holds his position a little bit. Hanko, we've gone wing back on support with Simeone wing back on attack. Very important that we get Simeone a little bit higher than what Hanko was, because remember we spoke about Alvarez potentially peeling off into this left space. Koke is an interesting one. I've done DLP on defend. It maybe wasn't that game for it. If anything, it could have been an anchor. So I think you could maybe change this depending on who you're playing and kind of be aware of maybe the roles that you've got ahead of you. But someone who's going to sit in there and not move. I think, his legs, he's 33. His legs are going, aren't they, at the very least. So we want to maybe say, let's anchor DLP on defend just so he holds that position. I wouldn't go register defensive midfield or anything like that, bowling midfield, because they tend to move around a little bit. I do like them as kind of stationary pivots. Big fan of Barrios. Very much as with his heat map, remember those sort of like positions on both sides. I've decided to go Carrilero, just so he shuttles across. Didn't really attack that final third either, so we're just going to go with him as a Carrilero, helping out in wide areas. In particular, when Simeone goes, he would often pop into this area and cut things out in wider positions. They were trying to funnel Real Madrid out wide, so a lot of pressing triggers were when the ball went out wide and things like that. So Barrios, Carrilero. Gonzalez, an interesting one because he kind of was almost a Mazzala because he was in these areas, but then at times when Alvarez did that, he did that. So Mazzala, I would go Mazzala on attack, or central midfielder on attack. However, if I was going to go central midfielder on attack, a role that I really love in the game, I would go roam from position, stay wider. That's the one that's in the tactic video right now. Sorry, in the tactic file, in the tactic file for the Patreons. And then the front two, Soloff, target forward on support, nothing else for the big man. And then Alvarez, pressing forward. I've gone stay wide and roam from position, just so he goes into these areas. But he would often drop off. There was a nice little bit of movement I watched on one of the tactic videos. I think it was Keep It Simple, where he was kind of up against Huijsen. He dropped in. Soloff then span round into the space that he'd vacated, and then that allowed Gonzalez to move in there, and it was really clever movement. So I'm hoping with that roam from position, we may see a little bit of that. But obviously, it's still going to be a little bit rigid depending on what roles you put these two in. And then balanced mentality into the team instructions. We've got standard width. Very important that we stay quite compact. We're still going to get the width from wing backs anyway. Slightly more direct with higher tempo. It wasn't absolute park the bus. We've got a few things in like hit early crosses. Really deep cross for Solas goal late on in the first half. Play for set pieces. I think they scored one. There was lots of corners. I think one of the corner. Yeah, the penalty came from a corner. They had a goal disallowed from a corner. So yeah, play for set pieces. Be more disciplined. Obviously, in transition, we've gone counter-attacking, big part of it. Distribute to the centre-backs because they're more back, sort of like kicks that we saw and take short kicks. Out of position, now it wasn't a really defensive low block. At times they dropped into a low block, which all teams do. But generally they did go and press. And when they did go and press, they went and really gave it a little bit. So we've gone get stuck in, trap outside. They were very keen on having that five. I think it really played into their hands that Real Madrid had Carvajal. decided to build up because of the players that he's got available and the kind of the off balance of squad Xabi Alonso. He had Fernandes, the left fullback, kind of tucking in as left centre half in possession with Militao on the right side, hoisting in the middle, and then that pushed Carvajal up into almost a winger position. So it was like, yeah, play it out wide as much as possible. And they did this really well. But at the same time, they did still go and press. I'll show you the little screenshots up now of them hunting, being aggressive. Obviously, they've got some great players. I think after 67 as well, they had Gallagher coming here to play as like an aggressive 10/8. So, yeah, it wasn't park the bus. It wasn't horrible to watch. They were thoroughly entertaining. Again, 3 at the back. It does work. It does work. Got a video on that tomorrow. I'm having a little bit of a real life rant about 3 at the back. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel. We're going to talk about Amorim, Glasner, Simeone, Xabi Alonso. We're going to talk about them all and the misconceptions of 3 at the back. So, yeah, subscribe to the channel. And that is El Cholo's 3-5-2. All right, stay tuned. That video tomorrow. We've started to do some FM save idea videos as well. We've got pretty much like a month, I think 5 weeks now until the game drops. So I'm going to try and simmer down. I really want to get stuff ready for FM26 graphics and getting a new monitor because I'm not happy with the monitor. So yeah, there's going to be more kind of quick fire tactic ideas and videos just from individual games. If there's a performance, a 90 minutes performance that you'd like me to cover, put it down in the comments. That'd be awesome. Right, Patreons, check it out. See you later.